Chapter 15, India, Part 1, Kashmir, mid-May 1971. From the train station, I walk over to the bus terminal and purchase a ticket from Lahore, Pakistan, to the Indian border near Firozpur, India. I already have border permits, so I'm cleared and ready to go. My bus doesn't depart for almost 2 hours. I take a seat at a Chinese restaurant, unload my gear from my back, and settle down for a good meal. I can't believe I'm on the doorsteps to northern India, the magical, mystical East, land of the Hindus and Buddha. Though all the dreams that I've made into my reality through this grand wandering adventure have been great, India will be the greatest, with Nepal as the capstone. I'm very excited to cross the next border. What an ultimate milestone achievement this will personally be for me. I finish my meal and walk back to the bus depot. I spot my bus. People are boarding. I get in line and unload my pack from my back, holding my gear in front of me. I see some arms waving in the back. The English blokes. "Hey, Woodstock, back here. We saved a seat for you," shouts Richard. I squeeze past everyone, down the bus aisle to the back of the bus. "Hey guys, you ready for India?" I exclaim. "I'm pumped, dudes." "Yeah, mate, we are too," agrees Richard. "I'm sure glad to be leaving the Islamic lands," says Roger. "I've enjoyed the Muslim people for the most part. I like to just chill around the locals and observe how they live and the customs and the rituals they do," I say to Roger. "Not me. It's way too foreign for me to ever be comfortable. It's felt like I'm on a different planet," says Roger. "Just bloody well relax, mate," responds Richard. "It's been a good journey for us. It's great there are so many different ways of living out a human life around this globe. I enjoy all types of people." "Me too," I agree with Richard. The diversity of people, languages, cultures, and customs throughout the world is amazing. But we all have one thing in common. We're people. Just people. Each life with a purpose and a place to live out its existence. "Oh, don't start sermonizing us now, Woodstock," bellows Richard at me. We all join in a hearty laugh as the bus pulls out of the parking stall and out onto the road. We are off. India looms ahead. The first town is Firozpur. In less than 2 hours, we approach the border station. We file off the bus and get in line to talk with the customs border agents. The lady officer shouts to us, all in line. "Declare all your rupees, all the money you carry with you." Richard and I had bought deeply discounted rupees in the black market of Kabul. "Oh, shit, man. Did you hide your illegal rupees?" I whisper to Richard. "Shh." He puts his finger to his lips to hush me from speaking further. He whispers in my ear, "I've got mine hidden. If you didn't do it already, it's too late now." I take my rupee India cash out of my wallet and put it into my backpack, then pull out my U.S. money. I do it real fast so I don't think anybody notices me. The line moves swiftly ahead, and soon I'm next with the female border agent. She comes around from her desk and grabs my bag, opens it, and pulls out my rupees. "Busted." "Why didn't you declare this?" she demands. I respond with a deer-in-the-headlights look and shrug of my shoulders. The border agent glares at me, evil-eyed. "Do you have any more money to declare?" she says. I pull out my wallet, open it up, grab my American money, and hand it over. She clutches my wallet from me and discovers more rupees I was hiding in a secret billfold spot I forgot about. Now I'm really in trouble. "Do you know it is illegal not to declare your rupees?" the agent inquires. I nod my head. I apologize. No harm intended. She continues to glare at me with a long stretch of silence. It's like she's my judge and jury. I've done something that is obviously not taken lightly. What is she going to do? I wait. I'm letting you go without warning this time. Here's your money back. I scoop up my rupees and stuff the money in my wallet. Then I grab my backpack and I am finally in India. A dream come true. Most of my rupees are packed away. She didn't find them and I didn't tell. We are now in the wonderful lands of India. India is so beautiful and green and lush everywhere, in great contrast to the dry, dusty, sandy, rocky environments which I'm leaving behind. We soon hitch a ride on a horse-pulled contraption with a Ganga, the name for the driver. We hop on the carriage with our gear for 1 rupee each. What a trip, man. It's a total change of environment. Feels like we're entering a jungle, I say. Look, a lazy river up ahead. Let's jump in, suggests Richard. The Ganga pulls up to the side of the river. All 3 of us strip down to our skivvies and jump in. Very refreshing. The sweet warmth of the green river water soothes my road-weary body. When we come back to the Ganga from our swim, he greets us with a fully packed chillum of marijuana, which he calls ganja. Richard and I partake with the ganja and the Ganga. Roger declines. We get back in the carriage, and the Ganga takes us through the tropical setting to a hotel. A fantastic electric storm moves in within seconds of our arrival at the hotel. For the next half hour, we are inundated with a fabulous tropical deluge. Then the rain quits as fast as it came, as if hitting an on-off switch. Just like that, the fierce storm is over. It is very hot and humid. A lush, thick greenery surrounds everything everywhere. We walk out to the yard of the hotel. What the bloody hell is that? Says Richard. I've never seen anything like that, mate, replies Roger. It's lightning bugs, I say. Some people call them fireflies. We have them all over in Michigan, where I'm from, especially up north. You guys never saw lightning bugs before? Never. Wow, they're amazing, says Roger. Otherworldly, chimes in Richard. I must admit, I've never seen anything quite like this, though. There are so many everywhere, little blinking lights. It is mesmerizing, I say. We proceed to our rooms at the Green Hotel. Time for some rest. Next morning, I walk around the grounds of our hotel. I discover many budding reefer plants growing wild everywhere. I pick a few buds, then continue walking off the hotel grounds. We go on a picking expedition later in the day, then relax and chill out in our smoke-crazed state in paradise. After a second lazy day at the Green Hotel, we decide it's time to get moving again. We purchase tickets for a train ride to Jalandhar in the Jammu and Kashmir state. We are loaded down with all the free ganja we picked, although it is still wet. We smoke with many of the local people in front of the train station. The local natives all sit Indian style, crouched low to the ground with feet flat and their butts almost to the ground. This is their posture when they smoke from a chillum and when they are just hanging out. Very strange, but very cool too. It's a long, boring wait in the sweltering, super humid heat at the train depot. All the people are so easygoing and slow-moving. I love India. Finally, in the late afternoon, we board our train for Jalandhar. Richard and I sit at an open door with our legs dangling down. We pass through the amazing Indian countryside as village after village roll on by. The intense, grueling heat makes my head swirl. Evening soon comes as we continue to roll on down the tracks mile after mile. We soon behold a wondrous, true spectacle. The dark country literally lights up in twinkles of blinking lights. Firebug-filled country rolls on by. This is bloody well awesome, mate, says Richard. I love it. We're in the Indian Punjab, and it is a land of many Sikhs, as you see. I say, motioning around to all the local natives on the train with us. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What does Punjab and Sikh mean? Well, the Punjab just means 5 waters. There's an Indian Punjab and a Pakistani Punjab just across the border. You, the English, made the partition when they created the borders of the 2 countries by separating India from Pakistan, Hindu from Muslim. Yeah, okay, says Richard. Don't you know your own country's history? I inquire in jest. All right, okay, he responds. Know it all. Just joking around with you, dude. And as to the Sikh people, very far out, man. They seem like very intelligent people. They never cut their hair. They tie it up in balls on top of their heads. They never cut their beards either, so their facial hair is often rolled up in a net. I say, okay, that explains it. Some of these people were looking real strange to me with those giant turbans covering all that hair, says Richard. They are ethical, gentle, and efficient people. You get used to the look and customs just like everywhere else, man. Go with the flow of the locals, I say. Our long train ride finally approaches Jalandhar at 3 in the morning. A half hour later, we board a bus for Jammu City, a semi-capital for the state of Jammu and Kashmir in northwestern India. I'm very tired on the bus ride, as is everyone else. I'm sitting in an aisle seat, squeezed in with a man and his wife. My neck keeps collapsing and waking me up from my deep sleep as the bus jerks and jolts here and there, until finally I bang my uncontrolled head into the woman sitting next to me. Our skulls crack hard. Ouch, damn it! I'm so sorry. Are you okay? I say to the lady as I rub my head. She squeezes in close to her husband and he rubs her head. I can hear her whimpering. The husband glares back at me in silence, holding on to his wife. I apologize again. I've got a knot on my head and it aches. I'm wide awake now. The bus drops us off at a covered outdoor pavilion, primarily for the many folks traveling throughout India. It's called the Pilgrim House. The sun will soon be up. I find an empty corner on the concrete to roll out my bag. I sleep deep into the midday in the heavy heat of the Pilgrim House. I wake up covered in sweat. I take a shower in the bathhouse. Everything is free here at the Pilgrim's facility. Far out. I go for a walkabout by myself. The rich but very unusual whining music takes some getting used to. It lends quite an oriental flavor to the atmosphere. I like the familiar sounds I make with my own flute. I blow my flute as I wander around. I come upon a temple. What a groovy place. Fantastic sculptures of the endless variety of Hindu gods populate the area. I stop by several of the gods and play my flute, staring into the eyes and bodily features of each god, such as Vishnu and Shiva. Back to the commotion of the streets, I wander past cow after cow amongst the people. Cows are sacred here. The animals meander about, doing their own business, free as can be, standing in the middle of the street, at a busy corner just about any and everywhere. I have a sensitive digestive system. I struggle with the food and local cuisines at times in my travels. The food of India will be a challenge at times for me too. I'm a picky eater. There's a lot of things I just don't like. I know my stomach will react to certain spices and types of food, so I've been going conservative, drinking mango juice and enjoying milkshakes with some fruit now and then. That's my diet. I'm getting skinny as a rail, but I still feel healthy and strong. I continue wandering through the town. What a pleasurable experience to walk amongst the masses of people in India. The heat is truly the way I stereotype this place in my mind. The persistent, sultry mugginess is a major influence on the environment. It is so hot and humid I can hardly move until the rain comes again and gives a brief respite. But I love it. All I can say is Namaste, the multi-use greeting and blessing that translates to, I recognize the God within you, or the Spirit within me salutes the Spirit in you. The 3 of us board a steaming bus the next morning to depart from Jammu City. We're attempting to escape the sweltering heat of the lowlands by going high up into the mountains. Not just any mountains, but the greatest chain of the highest peaks, the Himalayas. The bus takes us up, up, up the winding roads, circling around and through the mountains. What a majestic view! It is so beautiful up here that words cannot convey true justice to the sights of the peaks, the rice paddies, river, and winding highway. "Look at that," points Roger, "and over there and there, it's everywhere." Wow, mountainsides of wild marijuana plants budding out and emitting the sweetest fine fragrance. Take a whiff. This is crazy, man, says Roger. The bus is slowing down. We're coming to some lodging in the town of Kood, I say. Look at that sign. A bungalow for 3 rupees. Cost us a rupee or 12 cents, and we could stay here. The bus pulls off in front of the roadside restaurant and the lodge. We all get out, quickly get our bungalow, then go wandering along the mountainside, picking different varieties of buds, just as if we were out picking berries. This is a dreamland fantasy for a hippie. We come back to our new bungalow, basically a small room with wooden beds nailed to the floor. We dry out and try out the smorgasbord of buds we picked while drinking lemon tea. Very cool. I'm high, going higher than the highest mountain. It gets to be after 2 a.m. before we retire for the evening in a haze. Next morning, I'm up walking around our lodge. The people are nice and friendly wherever I go. It's like time ceases to exist for me in India. The pressure and burden of time is no more, for I am in the eternal, timeless lands. I'm fine and easy, carefree, grooving through my days. I go climbing up the mountainside, filled with green meadows, animals grazing, terraced farm plots, and craggy rock areas. As I climb higher, the view opens up into a panorama of the valley framed by the layers of huge mountains. What a beautiful, idyllic scene. A view of nature and man, worthy of a painting. I gaze out in wonder at the breathtaking awe of the moment at hand. Namaste indeed. As I descend back down the mountain, my head sails to the strains of beautiful melodies of streams of spring water flashing down the rocky mountain sides. I behold the constant natural music-making in nature. I bound down the mountain like a child on a soft slide as I make the final descent. I arrive just in the nick of time. Heavy rain clouds quickly moving in, bringing a fierce, booming Himalayan rainstorm with smashing hail and lightning flashes accompanying the booming thunder. I wait out the storm at the restaurant. I realize that today's reality will fade into a dream of memory of a time gone by. That is why I am attempting to capture my moments in my journals on a regular basis. I find that words are not enough at times. Words do not give justice to the reality and the feelings and thoughts bundled in the experience. Sometimes I feel helpless to explain the indescribable. This wandering journey is tapping into my spiritual connections with cosmic reality. I just know it to be my truth. When I return home, I will be allowed a fresh chance at life in America with all this worldly adventure in my background. I'm a new man, a new me. I will never be the same me because of the changes this journey has brought about within me. It will be interesting to see how I can fit back into my American life. The Indian music here is unlike anything I have heard before. I've listened quite extensively to Ravi Shankar, but this music here is nothing like Ravi's music. It's so strange that it grabs my attention and forces me to concentrate and listen to the vibe of the music. I'm fascinated by the music and sounds of the various Indian peoples. I'm packing up my stuff and leaving Kood in the morning. Roger and Richard are hitchhiking with me as we continue to be a traveling team. The alpine feel of this beautiful place is accentuated by the rolling soft green meadows and the lush green forest of giant fir trees. Many clouds hang right at the mountain tops. Picturesque indeed. It's early in the morning, and we are walking along the roadside hitching a ride. We get a ride in the back of a lorry, a truck, as we travel through the rugged mountains of Jammu. We get dropped off and soon hitch a new ride in the back end of another lorry. Our destination is Srinagar, the mythical city in the midst of the Kashmir Valley. I look out at spectacular mountain rivers cascading through valleys of green. We roll through wider valleys with terrace fields of green flooded rice paddies. This Himalayan land exudes the tropical Asian sense I felt from looking at photos. Only now it's for real, and I'm in the midst of God's stunning dreamlands of beauty. We've been riding for hours and hours, and now we come to a 1 3/4 mile tunnel through a mountain. On this side of the mountain, we're still in Jammu, but when we come out of the tunnel, we're entering the Shangri-La beauty of the Kashmir Valley. The drive through the tunnel is very dark and dimly lit. Then suddenly, we come back into the open air light. We are rolling down the mountain of the soft green, lush paradise amidst the snow-covered peaks of the Himalayas. Down into the valley we go. Our driver drops us off in Srinagar at a place to rent houseboats. A storm will soon be coming in. Srinagar is a magic city made up of lakes, rivers, and canals. The vitality of all life takes place in and around the water. What a trip. Floating shops everywhere. Everyone travels on slim boats, silently rowing the waterways. We get a private houseboat nearby as the storm descends upon us. Hey man, we should have gone shopping for better deals, I say. This place is way too extravagant for our means. 3 meals a day are prepared by servants that come with this rental. Let's just enjoy the high life for a day or two, mate. Then we can move on, says Richard. This is bloody great, agrees Roger. All right, man, I agree, but only a day or two. This place will bleed us dry, and I have scarce resources. The feel of this place is simply paradise. Flowers and gardens and floating life abounds everywhere. And everyone is selling something here. Temptations and materialism don't impact me, but I know many of my material-loving friends and family would love it here. Himalayan lynx furs, diamonds, rubies, watches, gold chains, all for sale on floating crafts that serve as the marketplace. We are rolling on the river in our own small boat called a shikara. We gently move down the waterway past the endless floating shops and houseboats. Then we wait in line at the locks for over an hour. Then we get our boat lowered to the level of the city. This is far out. We continue on our shikara journey until we arrive outside the Srinagar Valley, where we meet some hashish farmers on a beat-up houseboat. These locals are from Pahalgam, a small town just outside the valley. They invite us aboard, and we jam out to some tunes by the Moody Blues they have on cassette. Music brings all type of people together. We sing together as a group with those friendly strangers, just 2 guys and us 3. We belt out a tune in unison, sounding awful as a group, but laughing and having fun all the same. I'm in the storied, historic Vale of Kashmir, and life is wonderful. Nights in white satin, never reaching the end, letters I've written, never meaning to send. Beauty I'd always missed with those eyes before, just what the truth is I can't say anymore. 'Cause I love you, yes I love you, oh how I love you. Gazing at people, some hand in hand, just what I'm going through they can't understand. Some try to tell me, thoughts they cannot defend, just what you want to be, you will be in the end. We've now moved into a much cheaper houseboat without servants. It's very rustic, smaller, and older with aging wood that lost its varnished luster a long time ago. Not like the big, shiny new boat we just moved from. It will do fine for the 3 of us. Now we have our own little shikara for traveling around the area, with us doing the rowing instead of a servant. The 3 of us decide to row to Nagan Lake. We row for hours and hours, getting lost in the waterways and canals. We finally arrive at the lake for a much-anticipated little dip in the cool water ringed by snow-topped mountains. Then we've got to find the way back to our houseboat before it gets dark. As we row near the entrance to Nagan Lake, a gale-force wind blows us off course. No matter how hard we try, we're blown backwards down the canals in our shikara. We decide to give up on the lake and go with the wind back towards our houseboat. The single rower sits in the back up on the stern and powers the boat himself, while those in front are passengers. Sort of like the gondolas of Venice, but the shikara is much smaller. We take turns rowing as it gets tiring. This place of water and boats is a wonderland. It is something to gaze at the star field of the sky while navigating the complex maze of waterways at night. We make it home late in the evening after a challenging day out on the water. Time for sleep. Tomorrow is a new day. Richard and I have decided to climb a mountain together. Our mountain is near Shalimar Gardens and sticks up in the middle of the southern Srinagar Valley. There is a temple on top of the mountain. We head straight up the face, and the steep climb is rough on the body. It takes every muscle in my body to make some of the maneuvers. What a tiring activity. About 2/3 of the way up, we turn to behold a stunning sight of the entire green valley, the Vale of Kashmir. Wow! Would you just look at that? The pure essence of natural beauty, I say. Yes, mate, this is amazing. We can see the whole valley below and all the layer upon layers of breathtaking landscape. Take it all in. Breathe the fresh, crisp air. Smell the mountain. Survey all this wonder. I'm bloody well amazed, mate, says Richard. We both beam at each other in exhilaration. What a moment, brother. We are high on a mountain on top of the world. Amen. It is 1.5 miles going straight up the face of the mountain versus the alternative route of the 5-mile winding road. We make it up to the temple at the top, but soon nightfall is upon us, and it is too dangerous to go back down the rocky face of the mountain where we came up. The sky unveils a premier sliver of moon, and the stars sparkle bright. Climbing down the road in the black night is precariously treacherous and even comical. We laugh together when we tumble and fall about, then bitch and moan when one of us takes a rough fall or gets slapped in the face or head from a tree branch. We finally make it down to the riverside and locate our shikara in the dark. We row back to our houseboat well after midnight. New day, new experiences. Tick-tock goes the increasing universal clock, unceasingly. I'm living in an unreal reality that has my head vibrating. Lazy days bend my mind to float rather gently downstream with ease. Then again, perhaps, I'm lost in my own delusions. I have been reading passages from the Bhagavad Gita ever since entering India, but it's not having the effect for me that I intend. I'm having trouble relating it to me. I think Buddha and Tao and yoga are the Eastern philosophies and religions that resonate more naturally to the core of my soul. I'm open-minded in my search for my enlightenment, though the Gita is awesome too. I have to get out of Srinagar. We need to get on the road and move. It's just too expensive to stay here any longer. My funds are so low. I must hit the cheap road that will slowly take me to central India. Summer is yet to come, so the heat is mounting up and up with each passing day. Before long, it will be blistering hot. It is now the last day of May 1971, and I'm packed and ready to leave the houseboat. We paid our rental bill. The three of us depart the dock to head for the road when we are stopped by the local police and the boat owner. He demands more money, says we didn't pay enough. The cops tell us to pay up or go to jail. What a ripoff. We argue a bit more with the owner until he cuts his demand in half. We quickly settle up and leave. So we start hitching in earnest to get moving out of Srinagar. We've been here 10 days now. I spent more money than I ever intended in such a short span. Now I have no choice but to rough it. A taxi driver stops and offers us a decent price for a ride to Pahalgam, and we agree, load our gear in the trunk, and pile in. We're going to camp out for a while now, guys. What do you say? Sure, says Richard. Roger nods in agreement. I know a camp store where you can rent a tent in Pahalgam, says our cab driver. Okay, lead the way. We're going camping, I say. The cab driver gets us moving to our new destination. Pahalgam is at the confluence of two rushing Himalayan snow melt rivers. It has a genuine alpine feel and seems like a summer camp in a national park back in the U.S. There are very few motor vehicles here, as most either walk or ride horses. It is very laid back. We arrive in town at a camp store and rent a tent for the next week. We hire a coolie who carries the heavy tent on his back a few miles north of town along the bank of the River Leader. We can camp out right along the shores of the rushing river. Fantastic. We unload our gear and the tent, paying the disheveled porter a nice tip for his efforts. He was really helpful, as carrying the tent and our backpacks would have been very difficult. We set up the tent about 30 feet from the river, then build a campfire pit about 10 feet from the river's edge. This is our new home for a while. We are camping amongst the beauty of the tall pine trees growing up the sides of the mountains. We are nestled at the river's edge with the ever-pervading sounds of rushing water and the powerful scent of the evergreen forest. It is peaceful and surreal out here in nature, away from all the congestions of the well-populated areas of India. Now I have a lazy week of grooving to the beat of my own drum. Good morning. The beautiful Himalayan sun is shining in a cloudless blue sky. The huge evergreens soak up the sun's rays. The mountains stand tall. As I absorb the scene, sitting by the edge of a river, puffing on a hookah, life is grand. I've got a small campfire going, boiling some hot water for coffee or tea. Roger wakes up and joins me. Richard is still sleeping in the tent. "Did you sleep well?" I ask. "Oh, yeah, good enough," says Roger. "What beverage would you like? The water's boiling now. I'm having a tea." "I'll take a tea, too," says Roger. I pour us each a cup of boiling water into tin mugs, then place a tea bag in each. "Here you go," I say, handing Roger a cup. "Thanks, mate. Much appreciated." "For sure, man. What's the problem, though? You look like you're thinking about something that's bothering you." "I can see it written all over your face," I say. "What is it?" "Oh, just bloody well homesick. You know how it goes. I miss my family and a girl back home," says Roger. "Oh, don't get me started on that. I've been fighting bouts of homesickness off and on since I left. Thoughts of what are my buddies doing, or the girls I used to date. I go crazy thinking about that stuff too much." "So you understand then," says Roger. "That's what I'm struggling with. You and Richard seem so carefree all the time. I didn't think that stuff bothers you." "Believe me, it does," I say. "I'm only human, just like you. I just don't dwell on it when I'm around people. When I'm alone is when I get thinking too much. I worry all the time about everything. I want to marry my girl when I get back to England, but I have to start my career first." Hey, man, enjoy the moment. Be in the present. These memories happening here will serve you the rest of your life. Enjoy the adventure, or else you risk living the great experience and getting nothing out of it, because your heart and mind are always wishing you were somewhere else. Later in the day, Richard and I prepare our backpacks for a round-trip 28-kilometer trek high up in the mountains. Roger agrees to hang out at our site while we are gone. We will camp overnight at a place called Kashmir, high up in the mountains. We stay close to the roaring river with streams pouring down from above. We are climbing up, 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 slow but steady, moving ever up. Now and then a fantastic view opens up amongst the gray rock and green canopy. The valley landscape encompassed by the mountains is breathtakingly picturesque. Wow. All the way up along the mountains near and above, the raging river there are easier, longer and more gradual routes versus the challenge of the more rigorous paths. We make a challenging game of this all-day upward trek by taking the shorter route. Of course, being guys, we go for the rigorous gusto climb, but the mountains are relentless. Soon enough, we find ourselves choosing the longer, easier route, hugging the winding riverside. Halfway to our destination, following the river through the mountainous terrain, we come upon Chandiwith, a makeshift breakpoint for hikers, consisting of a dozen tent-type eateries and a row of outhouses. The place is nearly deserted at high noon, as the proprietors descend on us like locusts, anxious for us to buy their foodstuffs. We turned everyone down and motioned to leave us be. We brought our own sandwiches and have our own water. We escaped their harassment and keep on moving. We stopped for lunch at a place where the river splits into 7 distinct streams. The mountain water runoff from all the streams formed the head of the river we've been walking alongside on our upward trek. We drink some fresh water from the streams and enjoy our sandwiches. Then it's back on the trail amongst the mountainscapes. We need to get to Kashmir Lake by nightfall. We keep on marching on and on, up and up. The government tourist office indicated there is a free lodge in Kashmir, and that's why we plan to stay there. However, walking, trekking, climbing all day, and now nightfall is upon us, and there is no Kashmir campsites on our darkened horizon. Nothing but a forested wall of mountains that engulfs us. The pain is too much, man. I'm beyond exhaustion. My legs hurt, my groin hurts, my feet hurt, I complain. Me too, says Richard. I've about had enough, but we've got to keep moving a little longer. I know this winding river comes from a lake. We're on the right trail, I say. Each time we come to a higher bend, I'm looking for lights from a camp. And each time we are disappointed, I say. Sooner or later, actually very soon, we've got to stop and rest. It's getting colder up here. I want to be in the shelter at the lodge. Come on, let's keep going a little longer, urges Richard. The moonlight shines brightly to light our way, only to be blotted out by fast-moving clouds. We stumble along in the dark. We are both quite weary at this point. Then suddenly the clouds break open and the moonlight shines on a vast semi-frozen lake. We trek around the lake till we locate an old shack with no doors or windows or floors. This must be the free rustic lodge the tourist office spoke of. We are finally at Lake Kashmir, and it's freezing up here in the dark night. Richard and I break out our sleeping bags, roll them out near the entranceway, and quickly fall asleep. In the morning I wake to a glorious sunshine glaring off a frigid green lake. We are 12,500 feet above sea level. Water pours into the lake from everywhere. Then at the other end of the lake, it drains into a river stream. The surrounding mountains have much snow on the peaks. We're not trekking any higher or further, as we've been told by the Indian tourist office that the trail is still too icy and slick from the winter snows. We just need to head downward all day. My body aches from yesterday's climb, but I'm ready to get back down out of the cold and back into the warmth of the valley below. Plus, I find it harder to breathe up here. The only people we've seen after Shandawith are the lonely shepherds following their grazing flocks into the mountain hillsides of grass. Richard rolls over and wakes up. Hey, Woodstock, what are you doing, mate? Well, good morning to you, too, I say. I'm just laying here in my sleeping bag, penning a few words in my journal about how fantastic it is on this mountain trek. How are you feeling? My body is sore, but I'm ready to go back down the mountains today. It shouldn't be as tough as yesterday, says Richard. I'm ready, too. There's no sense in complaining because it doesn't matter. Regardless, we've got to trek back down these bad babies. Holy shit! What is that? Richard jumps up from his sleeping bag and points in the far corner of the dark lodge. Something is moving. Who's over there? Show yourself, Richard demands. I don't see anything, but I jump up in alarm at whatever Richard is upset about. A long-haired hippie youth in tattered clothes shirks out of the dark corner into the light with his hands in the air. He looks very sad. It's just me, I'm Leo, he says. Were you there all night while we were sleeping, inquires Richard, 'cause that spooks the shit out of me. Yeah, I heard you guys come late. I was already asleep, so I just kept sleeping quiet. You can put your hands down. You don't have any weapons on you. You're not a killer, right? I mockingly joke. If I was, you'd already have been dead, he jokes back. Hey, that's not funny. Ha, says Richard. I don't know if I like this guy, Woodstock. Leo's okay, I say. We can all get along and be friends. The three of us step outside the dark lodge and into the daylight. We shake hands. I'm Steve from America, In the state of Michigan, people call me Woodstock. I'm Richard from England. I live on the outskirts of London. Steve and I are students, just graduated in fact. We're touring the world before going back home to a steady job. What about you? Leo starts bawling in front of us. He just breaks down and cries like a little child. What could be the matter with him? We wait for him to compose himself. It is uncomfortable for us. This kid has a serious problem. What is it? I'm from German parents who immigrated to Ireland in the 50s when I was real young. My grandparents on both sides were Nazis. My parents were just kids during the war. They were lucky to have survived. What is all this about? Says Richard. Why are you here? Where are your people? Be patient. Let him tell his story, I say. I'm alone. Everywhere is gone. Leo cries uncontrollably, his body shaking as he speaks. I'm running away to the ends of the world to be on my own. Richard and I give him some space and proceed to make a campfire beside the lake. I brew up some coffee and toast up some bread and put a can of pork and beans in the fire. We share breakfast together in silence within the vastness of Mother Nature. Are you heading to the Amarnath Cave? I asked. It's impassable. In early June, the tour guides have told me. The pilgrims come during July and August during the full moon to visit with God in a cave, or so the legend goes. No, to be honest with you two, I've come up here to die. This is where I want to put myself to death. No way. You've got to be joking, mate. What's the problem, I asked. You're still too young, man. You look healthy enough. What could be so tragic? You choose to end your life? It's a gift to be alive, man. I have no one. I don't belong anywhere, he states. Then Leo starts bawling again. Richard and I look at each other with tense eyes, with shrugged shoulders, as if to say, I don't know what to say to this stranger. We are both very uncomfortable with this unfortunate situation that has been thrust upon us to greet the new day. We endure a long, quiet spell while Leo recomposes himself. I was going to do it today, then you guys showed up last night. Do what? Do what? Leo settles into a catatonic gaze while sitting on a boulder staring into the campfire pit. Do what? Kill myself. I'm going to jump off a ledge of a Himalayan mountain to my death, but I will fly briefly. And when I'm flying, I will be as free as I will ever be. Leo pauses a brief bit, then shifts his eyes from the fire to look at Richard and me. Splat! I'm done. That quick. Leo brushes his hands together nonchalantly and returns to gazing deep into the fire. You are crazy nutcase. You belong a bloody loony bin you should go to. Richard and I both walk away from Leo at the fire pit and go over near the shack. Hey man, it's obvious this guy has lost it, I whisper. How can we save him from himself? Hey mate, I'm nobody's savior. If he wants to kill himself, there's nothing we can do to prevent it. Let's just break camp, leave him alone, and head back down. Let me talk to the guy a little bit more. Maybe I can say something that will make a difference. Richard splits off and goes for a walk. I head back over to the lakeside pit with Leo. Hey, Leo, how about you relax and take the edge off and smoke a joint with me? I suggest. He doesn't respond from his trance-like state. I snap my fingers near his face. Sure, don't mind if I do. I light up the joint, take a hit, and pass it to him. He takes a big hit. I urge him to take a few more. We look out upon Sheshmeg Lake in its idyllic setting. So why are you so depressed, man? What could be so bad that makes you decide to want to take your own life and to talk so matter-of-fact about it? I don't get it, man. I want to understand your plight, brother. Maybe I can help by being a listening ear for you. Because I've come to a realization, he says. How old are you? I interrupt. I just turned 20, he says. You're around the same age as us. You have your whole life to live, man. Life is a wonderful gift from God. Don't talk to me about God. there is no God. I hate God, if there is a God. You don't mean that, man. Like I said, I've come to the realization it is time to end my life. I'm flawed by design. I am supposed to be the new generation of Hitler's master race. Everyone in my family was the SS. They were the ones who willingly took part in rounding up and killing the Jews. I don't know how to respond at first. I'm flabbergasted by his statement. My aim is to talk him out of his suicidal thoughts. Listen, man, you're bringing up stuff from the 30s and 40s, before either of us were born. Let it go. It's ancient history. I can't let it go. I'm ashamed of my heritage, my tainted blood. The sins of the grandfather are not the sins of the father or grandson. They are if the grandfather raped my teenage mother and then had his son marry her to cover it up. He was a Nazi war criminal and he got away with it. Then he did this to the children of his family, cries Leo. I take a moment to consider all he has said. What the hell would I do if I were in his situation? How come this is happening right now? Didn't you know this all along in your life as you were growing up? I just found out recently. I had no idea. I just knew there were secrets in my family's past. It was no secret that my grandparents were Nazis. Everyone knew that. I understood why I grew up in Ireland. Then my parents died in a car wreck. I'm their only child. The family lawyer delivered me a letter the day after the funerals. It's from my mom, and it tells the whole sordid story. My entire life is a big lie. I can't live with the tainted blood running through my veins. Leo breaks down and bawls once again. Listen, Leo, I'm a Jew, and I was born in the year that Israel became a modern nation in 1948. All the Jewish babies born that year are a sign of good luck, goodwill, unifiers of mankind. Let me be a representative of the Jewish race for you, and I'm here to tell you that you are forgiven of everything. You are innocent. You did nothing wrong. Don't take on the burden of guilt from what others did. Peace be with you, brother. Namaste. I pat him on the back gently and rub his shoulders. He cries like a little child. It affects me deeply as I cry along with him. I spot Richard walking back toward the lake. I break away from Leo and walk over to Richard to tell him what's going on. Just then Richard points behind me as I'm walking towards him. I twirl to spot Leo in a dead run toward a nearby cliff. Oh no, Leo, I scream. He keeps on running into a sprint. Richard and I stare in utter astonishment as we watch the young guy leap off the mountain to his death over 1,000 feet below.